right, good morning guys. So it is Sunday, March the 20th, and I am out for my 30-minute morning walk as usual. So what I'm gonna do for you guys today is basically just show you what a full day of eating looks like for me when cutting. As many of you guys probably know, I'm not tracking calories or macros at the moment, more or less just eating mindfully. But I have started roughly estimating the calories in each meal. So what I'm doing is eating 5 meals per day. In each meal, I try to eat roughly 500 calories, plus a post-workout protein shake. So that probably brings the daily total closer to 26 or 2,700. So this morning I woke up a new weigh-in low of 165.0 pounds. Don't weigh in every morning, probably weigh in 3 to 5 days a week. All right guys, I will see you back home in the kitchen. So guys, for breakfast we have got egg whites with 1 whole egg. So there's 200 grams of egg whites, 1 whole egg, and these potato patties. They're actually like pretty macro friendly. They're fairly like high fat, low volume, but they taste so good that it's still worth it to me at this point. 12 pieces, 170 calories. And this is what the finished breakfast looks like. This is going to be my second meal. I go through probably one of these bags per day. Kale, and I'll usually add some spinach and sometimes some romaine lettuce as well, just to add a little bit more volume. And this salad actually comes with some dressing, which is really, really fatty. So I don't use too much of that, but it does taste really good. So I do use it. And then also some cranberries and I'm not sure what kind of seeds they are, like poppy seeds or whatever. So that's kind of what that looks like. So guys, that is my pre-workout meal. I added a banana for some extra carbs, and I'm gonna enjoy this meal while I watch another episode of Breaking Bad. For whatever reason, when I'm cutting, I just always love to watch some TV while I eat. I like to keep myself occupied. So guys, I lied earlier. I did plan on going to the gym, but I ended up falling behind on some work that I had to get done. So I had to put it off for another meal. So just to tide me over, I just refilled up on my coffee, and I'm having one of these. These are actually low-calorie muffins, or so Robin says anyway. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly how she made those, but she says that they're low fat and carb or something, so I just trust her. And I also snuck a couple of these, just for the sake of full disclosure. I think I had 5 of those. Probably just have like a protein shake and a piece of fruit or something like that. There tends to be a pretty large degree of overlap between meals and so on. So the more meals I have in me ahead of time, the less I sort of worry about the composition of the pre-workout meal, if that makes sense. And maybe have 2 or 3 more of those candies. What's up everyone? So I'm back with a voiceover commentary. So what I'm gonna do is talk over these back training clips with some basic info on how it is I am setting up my deload week and my general thoughts on deloads as a whole. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna go through the what, why, who, when, and how of deloading, and just talk about some of the specifics of my case. So for me, I just finished up a really tough block that I would consider to be an overreaching block. I was doing 5 sets of 8 at 75% on the squats, 6 sets of 10 at 70% on the deadlifts, and just overall the RPEs in that block were quite high, and I definitely felt more fatigued. I even felt sick a couple days, and it was definitely the hardest I've pushed myself in training in a nice while. So a deload definitely felt prudent for me at this point. So that is what I'm doing this week. Okay, so I'll start with the what. So a deload is basically just a reduction in volume and intensity. Typically they're pre-planned, so they're built into a training program. And I think that there are pros and cons of having pre-planned deloads. One of the cons is that you might actually be feeling really, really good, and if you have a deload week, you could just be kind of wasting your time. So I like to sort of do them on a as-needed basis, but have them included in the program anyway, in case they are needed. And from an injury prevention standpoint, I think it's probably better to err on the side of deloading over not deloading, but that isn't to say that they're mandatory. Just because you have a deload planned in your program doesn't mean that you have to go through with it, if you're not feeling at all overreached or fatigued and you feel as though you're recovering well. And then they typically last for a week, sometimes as long as 2 weeks. So why deload? I think that the main reason why you want to deload is just because it's more effective for long-term progress. And there are a couple of reasons for this. The first is injury prevention. Deloading just allows your joints and your connective tissues to recover a little bit better. And then also I think that taking some time off from the heavy loads and high volume can sort of sensitize yourself to that stimulus once it comes back. So you take a week off, you're not going to lose any of your gains in that amount of time. In fact, what I've found with myself is that I do tend to see some supercompensation after I deload, which basically means that my body recovers from the amount of work that I put it through in the previous block in a way that it wouldn't if I just continued overloading. And I actually find that this benefits me from a physique standpoint as well as a performance standpoint. And I think that from a position of glycogen replenishment, that makes perfect sense. Glycogen is probably fairly low with the very, very high volume training. Once you step back a little bit, I find the physique just tends to look a little bit fuller and a little bit harder. So that's why. Who should do it is really kind of an individual question, but I think that trainees who are more highly advanced probably need them more often, just because advanced athletes tend to require more volume and more intensity in order to continue making progress. And so in order to sort of prevent burnout and prevent injury, I think that in advanced trainees, they're probably needed more frequently than in, say, like a beginner and intermediate who can still more or less just make progress linearly without having to have specific overreaching phases of training. And as for when to do them, I think that it's smartest to do them after an overreaching phase. So that, like I said, they should be specifically timed. You shouldn't do them too frequently, so just because you have one planned every 4 weeks doesn't mean that you have to do them. But I would probably recommend, especially for advanced athletes, doing them every 2 to 3 months at least. So how do you do them? Basically, you just want to drop volume and intensity. So what I do is I'll drop off a set or two. So if I was doing, say, 4 or 5 sets of a given exercise per workout, the deload week I'll do 3 or 4 sets. And I'll slash the intensity as well, so I'll drop the RPEs. Say I was working up to an RPE of 9 or 10 on the last set, I'll usually drop that down to an RPE of 7 or 8 across sets. And then the third thing that I do is I reduce the volume and intensity of any exercises that involve axial loading. I find that when I'm doing a lot of volume with the squats and deadlifts, my spinal erectors, particularly in my lumbar area, tend to take a hit. They get really tired, fatigued, and sore. So I have actually decided to just take out squats and deadlifts completely for this week. But normally I would probably reduce the volume, cut it in about half, and reduce the intensity accordingly as well. So guys, those are my general thoughts on deloading. I'm going to continue this for the next week, and then I'll be back into my regular training routine, and I hope that you guys enjoy this next clip. Alright guys, so just finished up with back workout. And so, yeah, it's just a whey shake. I don't know. You guys probably already know that I like to have a post-workout shake, so this is it. Okay guys, so Robin decided she wanted sushi earlier. And so I'm just gonna get something light, like probably some miso soup and maybe some edamame, that's high in protein, and probably California roll. Got our miso soup and edamame. So guys, here's what I went with. I got just tekkemaki, so really low calorie sushi. It's just tuna, a little tiny bit of rice, so that's good. And California roll, also low calorie. They actually brought us out some extra, and I hate it when they do that because that means I have to eat it. And what did Robin get? I don't know. Looks like shrimp tempura, spicy salmon, and sweet potato. Nice. I just finished uploading the clips, so I will edit that tomorrow. And I've got one last meal, which is just another whey protein shake.
No sleep like we out in Vegas, could give a fuck if they hate us, my people.